Ilusion Millan, the wife of the famous dog whisperer. Cesar Millan has finally spoken out after many years of silence. "I have endured enough. He treated me like I was an animal. I can't go on like this anymore," Cesar's wife shared. How did Cesar Millan, once a beloved and famous dog trainer, become the center of a massive scandal with everything he had built over the years, now on the verge of falling apart? This relationship, in which Cesar always tried to control every detail of his wife's life, from her appearance to her social connections, is slowly unraveling. Stay tuned to this video, because what's about to be revealed could completely change the way you view the world-famous dog whisperer. Millan's wife breaks silence, secret behind the broken marriage. The shocking revelations from Cesar Millan's ex-wife have caused a huge stir in the fan community, threatening to collapse and tarnish the image he has built over the years. What happens when a man who claims to be an expert in the animal world can't even control his own personal relationships? For many years, Cesar Millan has consistently portrayed himself as a family man, the ideal figure, balancing a successful career with a happy family life. His marriage seemed strong, his relationship with his children unbreakable, and his career unstoppable. However, behind closed doors, according to sources close to his ex-wife, a completely different story unfolded. Their marriage broke down under the increasing pressure from Milan's fame and the strict demands to maintain a perfect public image. These tensions, carefully concealed from public attention, ultimately erupted in a turbulent divorce, leaving both sides deeply emotionally scarred. Is Cesar Millan really the person he portrays on television? Or is there a different man hiding behind that facade? After years of silence, Milan's ex-wife decided to speak out, and her story paints a troubling picture of their married life. According to close sources, she describes a relationship dominated by excessive control and emotional manipulation. She claims that as Milan's fame grew, he became more determined to control every aspect of their life, from directing her appearance to controlling her social activities. Milan is accused of becoming increasingly demanding and isolating her from friends and family, those who might question his authority. The irony is something I couldn't ignore. She is said to have shared with a close friend, "The man who taught millions about energy balance and calm leadership couldn't apply those principles within his own family." Ilusion Milan Cesar's ex-wife revealed that during their years together, Milan applied his dog training methods to his treatment of her. Not only did he treat her coldly, but Cesar also used physical tactics to control her and force her to comply. Ilusion shared that he often resorted to coercive and mildly violent actions, demanding that she listen and follow his demands, much like how he handled unruly dogs. These behaviors not only caused physical harm, but also deeply affected her mentally and emotionally. Ilusion revealed that during those years, she felt as though she had lost her autonomy and freedom, much like the dogs her husband trained. Ilusion recounted that although she was initially attracted to the image of a strong and powerful man, she gradually realized that this was not respect but oppression. She shared that Cesar treated her no differently than he treated his dogs, making her feel as if she were merely a part of his control system and not a real human being. Those who worked closely with the couple have also confirmed these allegations, recalling instances where Milan's public image completely contradicted his personal behavior. Former witnesses to the Millan family dynamic have also spoken out, confirming the stark contrast between the calm and powerful public image of Milan and his true behavior once the cameras stopped rolling. There are two Cesars. One former employee who requested to remain anonymous revealed, "The wise, charismatic teacher you see on TV and the anxious, controlling man behind the scenes." These accounts, along with allegations from Cesar's ex-wife, paint a picture of a man who, behind the glamour and friendly smile on television, could be a completely different person. The controlling and manipulative behaviors, as described by those close to him, have raised serious questions about the true nature of Cesar Millan. Is the dog whisperer image that millions admire just a carefully constructed facade? The legal battle in Cesar Millan's divorce not only became tense, but also turned into a dramatic struggle with serious allegations from both sides. Millan's ex-wife is demanding child support and alimony, claiming that she made significant contributions to the building of his career and brand. She asserts that she deserves to share in the success that Millan has achieved. However, Millan's legal team argues that his wife is exploiting his fame and attempting to leverage public sympathy to secure an unfair deal. As the legal battle continues to intensify in the courtroom, it has sparked ongoing controversies in the media and public opinion. Both sides have strong supporters, each fiercely defending their point of view. This raises the question: does Cesar truly love and care for his family and loved ones? Or is it all just part of his strategy to maintain his public image and success? Furthermore, questions are also being raised about his training techniques. Does Cesar truly love and respect the dogs he trains? Or does he simply exploit them for his personal gain? 2. Crisis and criticism of violence. Alongside the legal battle in his divorce, Milan also had to face a series of other challenges. A central tenet of Cesar Millan's training philosophy is an important view: dogs are pack animals, and every family needs a strong alpha leader. According to him, the key to raising a well-behaved dog is not just love and treats, but also establishing authority and maintaining a firm, decisive energy. Taking dogs on walks, running, and playing helps release excess energy while maintaining their physical and mental health. This is one of the widely recognized aspects of his training process, and most dog trainers agree that exercise is an essential element for any dog. However, as Millan's fame grew, his training methods began to face opposition. While fans appreciated his ability to turn aggressive and unruly dogs into well-behaved companions, animal behavior experts and humane trainers started warning about potential negative consequences. They pointed out that Millan's methods primarily relied on asserting dominance, sometimes even using psychological and physical threats against animals. Actions such as kicking, pulling leashes harshly, and using harsh words to punish dogs not only caused physical harm, but also negatively impacted their mental well-being. Critics began to highlight that Millan's training methods created an environment based on fear rather than cooperation and understanding. Violent actions such as kicking dogs when they didn't obey or using light strikes to intimidate them did not actually resolve behavioral problems, but could cause long-term psychological harm to animals. Experts argued that this approach could lead to psychological disorders in dogs, making them more confused and aggressive instead of becoming reliable companions. More and more terms like fear-based and discomfort-inducing methods were mentioned in debates about Millan's approach. The dog whisperer, once seen as the savior of hard-to-train dogs, was now being criticized not only for using outdated training methods, but also for failing to properly assess the psychological impact of the actions he took on animals. Humane trainers argued that applying dominance and physical punishment would not lead to sustainable and long-term development for dogs. Among Millan's most controversial methods were punching dogs in the stomach with fingers, the alpha roll technique that forces dogs to lie on their backs to show dominance, and the use of choke collars, all of which sparked strong opposition within the animal-loving community. To supporters, these techniques were essential tools for rehabilitating dogs with serious issues. However, to critics, they were cruel and unnecessary actions. This debate had been ongoing for years. Nevertheless, the dog whisperer managed to maintain his position until the controversies became too significant to ignore. In the face of increasing criticism, the question arose: were Millan's methods truly effective, or just a temporary solution based on fear and power? Did the dogs trained with these methods truly become good companions, or did they merely follow dominance without developing emotionally and psychologically? These questions became more critical as Millan and his methods faced a wave of strong criticism, and the dog training empire he had built seemed to be starting to weaken. The opposition was not limited to online comments. In 2012, dissatisfaction with Millan's methods spread beyond the online space. Protesters gathered outside a theater in Rochester, New York, where he was scheduled to give a talk. Armed with signs and strong beliefs, they called on the public to pay attention to the training techniques they considered cruel and dangerous. This event showed that doubts about his methods had transcended professional circles and began to affect public perception. In 2006, a producer from Dog Whisperer accused Millan of causing serious injury to his dog Gator at his training center. According to reports, Gator suffered bruising, bleeding, and difficulty breathing after an intense training session, which required medical care, costing over $25,000. These injuries, according to reports, were the result of Millan's harsh behavior, correction approach, raising serious concerns about the safety of his methods. Although the lawsuit was ultimately settled out of court, this controversy spurred increasing criticism of his methods, marking the beginning of a series of legal and ethical challenges that would follow him throughout his career. The height of the controversy came when a tragedy rocked his empire. The Dog Whisperer lost control himself. Cesar Millan's beloved dog Junior was not just an ordinary pet. Junior, a calm pit bull, had been with Milan for many years and was a testament to the rehabilitative power of his training methods. However, the very dog that symbolized Millan's success became the cause of the most profound controversy of his career to date. This incident shook even Millan's most loyal supporters. A promising young gymnast became the victim of an attack by Junior. The attack resulted in severe injuries to the girl. A lawsuit was filed later when the young girl, Lydia Mattis, accused Millan's dog Junior of attacking her, causing deep leg wounds and ending her promising gymnastics career. Court documents revealed that Mattis claimed the dog had bitten her multiple times on the leg, causing significant injuries. How could a dog raised and trained under the professional guidance of Millan react so violently? Could it be that his methods failed, or worse, that they contributed to the attack? This incident immediately sparked a wave of strong reactions. Millan's supporters, who had steadfastly defended his training methods for a long time, were now forced to confront serious doubts about their faith in his training philosophy. At the same time, his critics seized the opportunity to reaffirm their concerns about Millan's controversial training techniques. Recently, discussions about Cesar Millan's incident have surged across social media within the dog training community and even in major news outlets. Did Millan misjudge Junior's temperament, or did his training methods based on dominance and submission contribute to the dog's sudden aggression? Before public attention had a chance to die down, another serious accusation arose. This time, the victim was the pet of singer Queen Latifah. In this case, Millan was accused of covering up the truth by telling the celebrity that a car had caused the death of her pet. However, the reality was that his dog had attacked Queen Latifah's dog, leading to its death. Cesar denied these allegations in court documents, but this only fueled further public suspicion. Were the accusations of Junior's violent behavior a sign of deeper issues with Millan's training methods? The image of the Dog Whisperer now seemed to be spiraling out of control, not only with dogs, but also with his own reputation. Going back to 2015, a Florida nurse named Allison Bitney sued Millan for an attack by a dog she believed had been rehabilitated at his training center. According to Bitney's testimony, the dog, which had been deemed aggressive and dangerous, was released too soon and went on to cause serious injuries that required reconstructive surgery. The legal battle dragged on, and although Millan was ultimately cleared of liability, this case only deepened public skepticism about his training methods. Another controversy arose in 2016 when Millan was investigated for animal cruelty. The incident caused an uproar when, during a training session aired on the show Cesar 911, a dog rehabilitating from aggressive behavior bit a pet pig's ear. The video immediately sparked outrage in the community, with many accusing Milan of harming animals for the sake of the television show. Can fame and high viewership justify actions that could harm animals? Although the video of the pig-biting incident led to an outcry after a thorough investigation, authorities did not file any charges against Cesar Millan. To calm public opinion, Nat Geo Wild issued a statement explaining that the situation had been misunderstood. "I know this dog, and it was not afraid," Millan explained. "And with my calmness, that helps the dog." It seems that every incident involving Milan follows a familiar pattern: an accusation, strong public backlash, and eventually a legal resolution damaging Milan's brand but not completely destroying it. So does the lack of legal charges mean that Milan's training methods are entirely correct? Over the years, Milan has built his name on the belief that he can help any dog, no matter how aggressive or unstable, become obedient. However, now the very principles he stands by are facing serious doubt. If Junior could engage in such violent behavior, can Milan's training methods truly be effective? The legacy he built is now at risk of being shattered. Recent events have not only been tragedies, but also a cautionary tale about outdated training methods. Nevertheless, Milan remains adamant in defending his principles, unwilling to abandon the values that helped him build his dog training empire. However, his career and reputation have inevitably suffered lasting damage. Once hailed as a leader in the dog training industry, the dog whisperer is now a highly controversial figure. The stories about Milan are no longer just about training techniques, but have become a cautionary lesson about the dangers of unchecked power, clinging to outdated philosophies, and the severe consequences of believing that those in power cannot fail. 3. Cesar Millan and animal abuse trial. The trial related to the animal abuse allegations against Cesar Millan has attracted significant attention from both the public and the media, sparking a heated debate over his controversial training methods. The situation began when the American Humane Association publicly condemned the techniques used by Milan, arguing that they were cruel and potentially dangerous to animals. Specifically, the organization criticized his use of shock collars and pack leader methods, deeming them as animal abuse that could harm both the physical and psychological well-being of dogs. The trial became more intense as numerous witnesses, including animal behavior experts and researchers, were called to testify against Milan. One notable witness was Dr. Anya Sharma, a renowned animal behavior expert who testified that Milan's methods not only proved ineffective, but also caused harm to the dogs he trained. Dr. Sharma explained that these techniques instilled fear and caused psychological damage to the dogs, rather than encouraging positive behaviors. Dr. Sharma specifically shared in court, "Based on what I have observed and researched, I have serious concerns." His approach often relies on coercion and punishment, which can induce fear and emotional harm in dogs, rather than encouraging proper behavior through positive reinforcement. She further discussed the influence of the dominance theory in Milan's training methods. His methods seem heavily influenced by this outdated theory. Current research shows that dogs do not operate under a rigid alpha system as once believed. The application of techniques like the alpha role or physical punishment is unnecessary and can cause dogs to experience stress, anxiety, and even aggression. When asked about the actual effectiveness of this training method, Dr. Sharma replied, "I do not deny that dogs may comply, but that compliance is based on fear, not understanding, and it can lead to long-term problems." The controversy surrounding Cesar Millan has caused the Dog Whisperer show to face strong backlash from animal rights organizations and even professional trainers. They argue that the program misrepresented effective dog training methods. Critics claim that the techniques Millan employs promote the use of fear rather than positive reinforcement, leading to dangerous misconceptions about how to properly treat animals. These criticisms emphasize that the way the show portrayed the methods contributed to later incidents where dog owners inspired by the program tried to replicate the techniques without proper knowledge or professional guidance, often resulting in unnecessary harm, causing dogs to develop anxiety, fear, or even aggression due to being subjected to correction methods that were improperly applied. Could the show's fame and influence justify promoting training methods that many experts consider harmful? In response to the growing wave of criticism, Cesar Millan steadfastly defended his training methods. He emphasized that the physical correction techniques he uses are minimal and only applied when absolutely necessary, particularly in cases involving dogs with aggressive behavior. He also clarified that his method is just one of many available options, and that different dogs may require different training styles depending on their temperament and behavior history. According to Millan, his goal is to help dogs restore their function safely, protect both them and their owners, and restore balance in the human-animal relationship. Although there has been reconciliation, the opposition to Millan's training methods continues to grow. Modern research has shown that dogs no longer engage in rigid power struggles with humans as they once did, making such training methods unnecessary and even potentially harmful. Experts point out that Millan's approach contradicts modern behavioral science, which emphasizes trust, mutual respect, and positive reinforcement, rather than relying on fear and submission. Today's dog training methods focus on rewarding good behavior rather than punishing bad behavior. Even National Geographic seems to recognize this issue. At certain points, a small but significant disclaimer has appeared briefly on the screen in episodes. Do not try these techniques without consulting a professional. This simple warning implicitly acknowledges that what Millan is doing is not always safe or suitable for everyone. If his training methods were truly as effective and safe as claimed, why would such a warning be necessary? Critics argue that this is not just a standard liability disclaimer, but also an attempt to protect his personal image. Many former clients have also spoken out against Millan, claiming that his training techniques, especially those involving physical corrections, have led to injuries and suffering for both the pets and their owners. One such client, Sarah Miller, shared, "I went to Cesar hoping to solve the problem of my bull mastiff's constant barking. But what I witnessed and experienced was truly concerning. During a training session, when Buster refused to lie down, Cesar kicked him hard in the side. I was genuinely shocked and heartbroken. Buster became much more fearful and timid afterward. I truly regret trusting him." Miller's testimony raises questions about the humanity and necessity of using harsh physical interventions in dog training. Although some of these lawsuits were later dismissed, and Cesar was acquitted, these incidents have only fueled the ongoing debate over his methods, casting a shadow over his legacy as a dog trainer. While Cesar Millan's intentions may have been good, the question remains, does the end justify the means? And as animal behavior science continues to evolve, does Millan's old training approach still hold relevance, or is it simply a relic of a bygone era? Can the initial fame and success protect a method that more and more experts now consider outdated and even harmful? 4. Depression and the journey to recovery. The divorce was only the beginning of the long series of troubles that Milan had to face. When his marriage fell apart, the business empire he had worked so hard to build also began to crumble. Then came the trial for animal abuse. As the pressures in his personal life and career reached their peak, Milan fell into a severe depression that almost cost him his life. In a later painful admission, he confessed that he had considered ending his life. "I was so angry with myself," he confessed in an emotional interview. "I blamed myself, and then I felt truly sad to see how people could behave like that. Why would they break moral rules that no animal would ever break?" At first, he sought revenge. Cesar Millan's initial reaction to the betrayals he faced, he later admitted stemmed from deeply rooted cultural beliefs formed during his upbringing in Culiacan. It was a dangerous mindset, where sometimes revenge seemed like the only honorable response to betrayal. His health deteriorated rapidly and his mental state wasn't any better. Cesar's weight dropped to just 102 pounds as he turned to drugs to escape reality, taking up to 12 Vicodin pills a day and mixing Red Bull with vodka in a desperate attempt to numb the pain. Could the pressures of fame and personal struggles push someone to the brink of self-destruction? Perhaps the most painful consequence of Millan's breakdown was the impact on his relationship with his children. As he struggled with addiction and depression, his ability to be a father was severely affected. His children later shared that they could barely recognize their father during that time. His youngest daughter revealed a terrifying experience, saying she felt as though her father had become a completely different person, like a monster. And she began to fear the unpredictable changes in his energy, something Cesar had taught others how to manage in their pets. The estrangement between him and his children grew so severe that the family did not speak for 3 years. His sons, who had once proudly appeared with him on his television shows, now avoided any public association with him. The family, once central to Millan's brand identity, had now fallen apart and seemed irreparable. One son later bitterly reflected, "It was like watching someone drown when you know how to swim." All the tools he had taught others to remain calm, balanced, and lead, he couldn't apply to himself during that time. When you face real challenges, Cesar shared, they either destroy you or they make you stronger. They clarify what really matters. After that difficult period, Cesar began applying the same principles he had taught about dogs to his own recovery journey. Just as he always emphasized that dog owners must reach a state of balance and calm before trying to correct their pet's behavior, he focused on restoring his own inner balance before attempting to rebuild the world around him. Cesar Millan's healing process gradually extended to his family and relationships. The reconciliation process began when his youngest daughter, who had just completed her own recovery from substance abuse and eating disorders, reached out to him for the first time after nearly 3 years of estrangement. Rebuilding these relationships wasn't easy. It required extensive therapy and family counseling for over 18 months. A significant breakthrough came when they spent a week together at a quiet place to meditate and perform emotional healing exercises. Could forgiveness and reconciliation heal the deepest wounds? Today, as Cesar Millan attempts to rebuild his life and career, the question of his legacy remains unresolved. Will he be remembered as the revolutionary dog trainer who changed how millions of people interact with their pets? Or will his personal controversies overshadow all the professional contributions he has made? 5. Cesars Contributions. Despite facing harsh criticism, Cesar Millan's influence has never been completely diminished. He has made significant contributions to improving animal welfare, consistently fighting against discriminatory policies based on dog breeds that target certain species such as pit bulls, without addressing the root causes of aggression. He has also continuously spoken out against the horrors of puppy mills and actively promoted spay and neuter programs to help reduce the growing problem of pet overpopulation. Can these efforts be enough to calm the ongoing controversy surrounding his training methods? While his training style has been analyzed and debated countless times, there are still undeniable truths that he has shared. Principles that even his harshest critics cannot dismiss. First and foremost, he consistently asserts that a dog's behavior is a reflection of its owner. If your dog is anxious, overreactive, or aggressive, the root cause lies in the environment you have created for them. He also emphasizes that dogs need more than just food and shelter. They require love, regular exercise, and mental stimulation. Most importantly, he has been a strong voice against chaining dogs, an action that can cause psychological harm and lead to dangerous, aggressive behavior in dogs. Millions of people have loved and been inspired by Cesar Millan. Testimonials from loyal fans regularly appear recounting the profound impact he has had on their lives. However, the Cesar Millan fan community has become increasingly divided due to the controversies surrounding him. Amid the criticism, he has spoken out to deny the allegations related to the incident where a dog bit a gymnast. This scandal seemed to only intensify the ongoing debate. However, some misinformation on the internet even spread a bizarre conspiracy theory, claiming he was somehow involved in covering up the death of one of Queen Elizabeth II's corgi dogs. Although no solid evidence supports these claims, the fact that Millan's name continues to surface in such strange stories begs the question, is this affecting his image? Social media has become a battleground for these opposing narratives. Millan's loyal supporters remain firm in their belief, sharing stories of the positive changes he has brought to their lives. One fan wrote, "Cesar Millan will always be the dog whisperer in my eyes. I will never say anything negative about him. As a pet groomer, everything he says aligns with what I've personally learned about animals and their owners. He has integrity." Another fan shared a personal encounter. "We saw Cesar shopping at a store I stood behind and watched him. He was very polite and respectful to everyone. He quietly paid for a person who couldn't pay their bill without wanting the person to know we saw. Not a word was spoken. He is a true gentleman." Even though Cesar Millan had good intentions from the start, the question remains, are his training methods still relevant in the context of modern dog behavior science? Are we witnessing the collapse of an empire built on outdated theories? And will the revelations about Millan's turbulent personal life forever change how we view the dog whisperer? The answer will likely continue to unfold in the ongoing developments of this dramatic story. So, is Cesar Millan a good guy or a bad guy? The answer may not be as simple as his most passionate fans or harshest critics want to believe. He is not the perfect dog whisperer that his fans idolize, but neither is he the heartless villain that his detractors describe. One thing is for certain, Cesar Millan will not soon fade into obscurity. At 55, he continues to make waves in public opinion, still facing criticism and remaining steadfast in his methods. For Cesar Millan, controversy is likely not the end of the story, but just another chapter in his tumultuous journey. What do you think of the dog whisperer? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, turn on notifications, and subscribe for the latest updates.